I'm Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, the creepy, and the strange.
And I drink.
So what are we drinking tonight, Mitchell?
Our beer this week is Peaches and Cream Smoothie-Style, brewed and packaged at Trim Tab Brewing Company in Birmingham, Alabama. 7.6% alcohol by volume. Let's read the can. Sour with peach puree, white peach, and vanilla. 16 ounces of a peach in good time. Steve has decided to join us. Hop up, bud. All right. Well, what I have to say about the beer is it is creamy, fruity, and elegant. I really enjoy this, Leah. You said that you liked it too?
I do. I think it's really nice. It's a bit heavier than a beer that I would have expected. I mean, I guess I should have figured that out with smoothie, but it's heavier than like a fruity beer that you would normally get, but it's really nice.
Yeah, it's a thick boy. It's thick with two C's. And it's really good. I enjoy it. Some actual peach flavor, like an actual peach, gets in there. It's not like, grape flavoring, peach flavoring. It tastes like a peach. Just realized my shirt's all riled up on me. Here we go. Going down. Well, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoy this beer. How do you feel about it?
It's still folding.
Still?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, the beer is good. I like it. I don't know that I could get through a whole one just because it is as heavy and sweet as it is, but it's nice. I like it.
It is a THICCBOI.
Yeah.
It sure
And I'm not a
is.
huge fan of that thicker smoothie mouthfeel, but it tastes good.
Oh, God, I love when you say thick and smoothie mouthfeel. I'm all for it. And our shot in the dark this week is Dread River Straight Whiskey. Blah, 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 blah. Blended and bottled by Dread River Distilling Company in Birmingham, Alabama, but it is distilled in North Carolina. They don't say who does the distilling on the bottle. It's 45% alcohol by volume. Let's read the bottle, and we've got a little bit of time, so you keep petting that cat. Enjoy it. Here we go. Dread River was founded in the spirit of adventure, the notion that life is precious, not fragile. Each day we strive to confront our fears, embrace challenges, and seize every opportunity. As we push away from shore and drift into deep water, we ask that you join us on our journey, a journey of passion, of ambition, of discovery. Let the current of adventure carry you, and when you toast to your accomplishments, reach for us. We are all on this journey together. Welcome aboard. End quote. All right, guys, nobody needs that shit right now. Nobody cares about your community-minded approach at this point. Steve, come on, man. Jesus Christ. This whiskey really packs a punch. That 45% is not disguised by anything. This is a strong, strong whiskey. It does have a nice caramelly flavor, but it is really not enjoyable. We don't have anything to mix it with, so I've only tried it by itself on ice, and I really don't know how much of it I could have. Only because it's so strong, I gave it a 6 out of 10. It is rough to get through, and I haven't mixed it with anything else. So shots are going to be a real problem, and which reminds me, I'll be taking both shots today. Leah's sick as a dog, as always, and that's why the episode's going to be real late.
Yay!
So, yeah. So I'm going to be taking both of those, and I'm going to have me a rest of a Sunday to just play Xbox or something. Leah, do not bother me after this episode.
I wasn't planning on it. I have to write the Patreon episode, so.
Oh, yeah. We got to do that. So.
No, I'm just, apparently my body was like, oh, you felt too good this week. Would be a shame if someone wrecked it.
Yeah.
And so that's what's been going on for the last, 2 days, so. Huzzah.
Yeah, so we're recording this Sunday afternoon. Excuse me. So it's already real late.
Yeah, because I spent the entirety of yesterday and today very ill. So, you know what? We're just going to get through it, and I am not going to drink any of the liquor because bad choices, man.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
So I have a lovely Arctic mug full of water and what was left of like a liquid IV.
Did you have a liquid IV? What flavor?
Watermelon.
Oh, it went down the wrong pipe. I love it.
Salted watermelon. But anyway.
We bought a whole bunch of liquid IVs recently just to try a bunch of different flavors. And the watermelon one tastes like, what is it, like Airhead candies or something like that? And
it's you put salt on.
Huh?
Yeah, but like you dumped a packet of salt on them.
They're a little salty because it is, replacing electrolytes and stuff like that. But it's the strangest flavor. It's not watermelon in any respect. but like a watermelon airhead candy is really similar to me.
I don't know. It's strange, but it's fun. And I needed some electrolytes. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, you're gross.
Yeah. Anyway, so the first order of business this evening or this afternoon, as the case may be, we have a brand new member of the Possum Passo.
Shit! I wasn't ready on the thing.
You never are, love.
There we go. Baby cry. I'm just gonna scroll and pick one. How? Okay. Well, that's just someone saying how. So
how.
That one's called ice. I guess it's someone shaking ice in a cup.
Oh, I thought it was supposed to be a typewriter. All right.
I insist.
Okay, go ahead, Leah.
All right. Welcome to the Passel Allie.
Hey.
Our brand new Possum Pass member is Allie R. Thank you so much for subscribing to our Patreon. Y'all patrons are the ones that keep us on the air. We seriously could not do it without y'all. Thank you so very much. We'll be sending out those stickers, etc. Shortly. Yeah. Thank you so much to absolutely everybody that contributes, and everybody who doesn't. That's cool too. If you're just listening, that's also awesome. We appreciate absolutely every single one of our listeners, but especially today, Allie. Thank you so much for, passing on a few bucks to us and helping us keep this show on the road. So thank you very much to Allie the rest of our Possum Passel. So are you ready for our sassy Southern saying of the evening?
I sure am, Leah. Hit me with it.
All right. Somebody done turned their goat loose.
Oh no. I have no idea what that could mean. I know goats are especially destructive animals. Like they eat everything. But I don't know what in the world that could possibly mean.
Now, goat is what a lot of people say, but it could honestly be any animal. So it could be someone done turned their dog loose or their horse loose.
Okay. All right. So someone is messy and gross, and they need to get things under control. They're out of control.
Kind of, but
they've lost control of the situation.
No, they're crying. They're upset. Someone's done let their goat loose, like the goat's wandered off and they can't find it. They're upset.
Okay, so you say that about someone that's upset.
Yeah, so like someone's like crying and you don't know what's going on, and someone's upset. You're like, someone must have turned their goat loose.
I've never heard that, and I don't appreciate it. Fuck you for making fun of me for having a mental breakdown.
Yeah, I know it's kind of sideways and awful, but I heard it growing up as dog. But when I was looking it up, goat is what shows up the most, so I put in goat. But whenever I heard my grandparents say a phrase similar to that, it was always dog. But goat seems to be prevalent on the internet, so I also put in goat just because I thought it would toss you off the scent for a little bit.
Okay.
But, basically, it just means someone's upset and we don't know why. So the why must be that they've lost their animal.
Yeah, I don't appreciate it. But whatever. Okay.
Alrighty. Well, I've got some interesting topics today, and I think you're going to enjoy them. The first one is a mysterious death, and it did happen in 2010. So it's a more recent thing than we usually deal with, but yeah, I thought we'd go ahead and talk about it. So, we are going to Beaumont, Texas, and we are going to be talking about the mysterious death of Greg Flanagan.
Greg
Flanagan.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Have you heard about this story previously?
No, I've never heard of this name. So.
Okay. So it got a lot of media attention about a year after it happened because it was initially an incredibly mysterious death, and then they finally figured it out with the help of a private detective, and man, it's weird. But anyway, so Greg Flanagan was like a oil and gas dude. He was the one who went around securing the rights like on private property for this company to, drill for oil or gas or whatever. And he co-owned the company that he worked for with his brother. And he spent a lot of time on the road every week, doing business, that kind of stuff. But basically all you really need to know about him is he's on the road working a lot, and he works in the oil industry in Texas, specifically for a company that he and his brother own together. It was September the 15th of 2010. It was just like any normal weekday that he spent. Because like I said, he spent most weeks on the road and was home on weekends. And he was in a hotel room at the Elegante Hotel in Beaumont, Texas. And he was doing what he did every single night. His routine was he liked to watch TV while he smoked his packs of cigarettes because he was a chain smoker. And he would eat a candy bar. And apparently it's particular to the case later on, but he likes to crank his hotel air conditioner down as far as it'll go.
Yeah. I'm that guy too.
I was going to say, it's hot as shit in Texas in September, and he wants the room as cold as you could possibly get it. So the air conditioner was turned down as far as it would go.
I do that in hotels too, though. You know that.
Yeah, I know you do.
You hate it.
And he was eating his candy bar, smoking his cigarette, and watching a movie. So Shot in the Dark.
Oh, shit. It's already time, Leah?
Yeah. So on the night of his death, Greg was relaxing in his hotel room with a Reese's Crispy Crunchy bar.
Reese's?
Yeah, he was drinking a root beer and he was watching a movie. My question is, what movie was it?
Oh, yeah.
And remember, this is 2010.
I hope it's a porno.
It was not.
Oh.
Was it A, Shutter Island, B, Iron Man 2, or C, True Grit?
Without a doubt, it was Iron Man 2. Without a doubt.
You're correct. It was. It was Iron Man 2. How did you know?
I didn't know. I guessed. But, I mean, everybody watched Iron Man 2, and most people were disappointed by it as well. So, you know.
Yeah, so that night he was eating his Crispy Crunchy bar, drinking a root beer, watching Iron Man 2.
I really don't want to take this shot, Leah.
Okay, don't. Save it for later.
But that's not in the spirit of the show.
Okay, then take the
My eye
shot.
hurts. Okay, shut up. Leave me alone. I've already told you once. Let's cut this shit out. God.
I'm sorry. If I weren't ill, I would take it for you, but I don't think that would be a good idea to put on top of everything else.
you would not be taking it for me. This is your shot.
Yes,
Go
it is.
fuck yourself. I'd take it for you. I'd be the magnanimous. Magnanimous?
There you go.
One. Okay.
Oh, anyway.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, he was eating his candy bar, drinking a root beer, watching Iron Man 2, chain smoking cigarettes.
Fucking shit. Ugh.
Earlier that evening, he had tried to make popcorn, but when he tried that in his microwave, it tripped the breaker. So he had to call down to the front desk to send up a maintenance worker to fix everything. Because it had tripped the breaker and it had lost power to his room and a couple of rooms surrounding his as well. So, they get that resolved. He lies down to watch Iron Man 2. Just like he would any night. Once again, he's not a carouser. He doesn't go down to the bars in the hotel and hang out with people and talk to other workmen that are there. He's just there to get his shit done and go home. So like I said, he's in his room, period. That's it. He was emailing his wife on and off that evening. So she was, they lived in Lafayette, Louisiana. And like I said, he was emailing his wife. They were, talking about their taxes, getting something together. I think they were filing for a tax extension of some sort. And that's all they were, discussing. And, just of note, I don't really think it's terribly important, but they thought it was at the time. But they had previously been married, and then they got divorced, and then they got married again. But at this point in time, they had been remarried for 15 years. So it's not like it was an unstable relationship at this point. Like I said, it was just a nice, solid marriage by this point, according to everybody that knew them and talked to them. So yeah, basically, the next morning of September the 16th, his wife Susie hadn't heard from him. And usually they talked on the phone every morning when he got on the road. And she was a little upset because he wouldn't answer his cell phone. And she decided to call the office where he worked, and he did not show up there either. So she had a couple of guys from the office he was working at go to the hotel and see if, he was in the hotel room, if he was sick, what was going on. He didn't answer the hotel door, and they were really concerned. So the coworkers go downstairs, discuss it with the manager, and the manager agrees to go up with them and unlock the door just to check on him. Unfortunately, when they unlocked the door, they found his dead body on the floor. He was still holding a cigarette in one hand, and the room was really, really hot, which is weird because, once again, he kept those air conditioners cranked down as far as he could possibly get it. And there wasn't really sort of any kind of outward sign of violence on his body. There was no evidence that showed he had been like shot or stabbed or punched or anything like that. And so they thought, he's a middle-aged dude. He smokes a lot of cigarettes. He might have had, a heart attack, something like that. The only thing that they noted on his body while he was, laying in the floor was that he had just like a rug burn on his cheek from where he hit the carpet. And so they thought it was weird, but, the medical examiner takes the body, does an autopsy. And the medical examiner only noted 2 exterior wounds. The contusion on his face from the rug, and then he had like a small wound on his scrotum, which is strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah. His scrotum had like a kind of a weird puncture mark kind of thing, but
fucking God.
Yeah.
We don't need to know what he was into, Leah.
Well, it's vitally important to the story.
Christ.
Yeah. And also when they opened up his body, they realized that a whole different thing is going on inside. So the outside of his body looks perfectly fine, except for like a little mark on his scrotum and like a rug burn on his cheek. Mm-hmm. Internally, his organs were fucked up. Oh. There were tears in his livers, tears in his stomach. His intestines were fucked up. Some of the food that had been in his stomach had leaked out into the body cavity through some of the tears.
Do you only have one liver? Don't you have one liver?
Yeah.
Because you said tears in his livers.
I said tears in his liver and his stomach and intestines.
Okay, you said more than one liver.
He only has the one liver, Mitchell.
Oh, that understood. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
I got confused, Leah. I've had a shot. I don't know. Go ahead.
Anyway, his heart was also really fucked up, and he had 2 broken ribs. So this was concerning, and the medical examiner was a little confused. And he comes to the conclusion, because everybody else, like all of the police officers on the scene, are basically like, yeah, it sucks, but it was probably a heart attack or something like that. Natural causes was all they assumed because there was no sign of break-in. There was no other like video of anybody else entering his hotel room. I mean, there was nothing, so they assumed this would just be an open and shut personal medical issue and that be that. But like I said, once the medical examiner opened him up and saw all of this insane damage, the medical examiner was like, look, this had to have been homicide of some sort. He looks like he's been beaten to death or even crushed by something heavy, like interiorly. Mm-hmm. The medical examiner suspected that cut on his scrotum could have come from someone kicking him in the balls with a steel-toed boot.
Good God.
Yeah, it was really, really rough. So the medical examiner determined that the cause of death was internal bleeding and that it was so bad that he died in less than a minute from when that happened because it was such a severe internal bleeding. And so they determined that his death was a homicide. So once the homicide determination shows up, the detectives have to start detecting. They start examining everybody. So this particular hotel had a lot of people that were staying there to work in the area. So there were a lot of electricians that were working on temporary jobs and stuff like that. They were staying by the week or whatever. And so they have to go, and talk to all of these people, interview everybody. So they find it really unlikely that he was beaten because he didn't have any exterior bruises. he wasn't found underneath a heavy object, so if he had been crushed to death or beaten, it would have had to have been somewhere else, and he had to have been brought back into the hotel room. But there's no surveillance video. All of the hallway video just shows him going into his room and nothing else, and then also, if they had if they had beat him somewhere else, whoever killed him, if they had beaten him somewhere else, why did they put him on the floor of the hotel room? Why did they put a cigarette in his hand? The whole thing was just weird. And on top of that, there were people on either side of his hotel room, and nobody heard a damn thing. There was no struggle. There was nothing. One of the neighbors said that they had heard a guy coughing late one night, which is, he was a chain smoker, and he did have a pretty persistent cough, but for the most part, there was no big struggle that would have tipped anybody off to the fact that a dude had been violently murdered in the next room.
It sounds like poisoning to me because of the organs and stuff.
Yeah,
so
well, we're getting there.
Just saying.
Yeah. So, also, the toxicology reports come up negative. There's nothing weird in his system, except for, the Reese bar and the beer and or not the beer, it was a root beer and, cigarettes and whatnot. Nothing unusual or out of place came up in toxicology screening.
Those are all slow-moving poisons, Leo.
Maybe. But so they start, figuring things out. They start interviewing everybody that was related to him, everybody that was in the hotel at the time. And everybody liked him. He was just known by everybody to be just a really nice guy. His marriage was really solid. His finances were good. He was good at his job. He and his brother had that business together that was doing really well. They were both really amiable together. There was seriously no reason that anyone could find that anybody wanted to murder him. He wasn't a guy that picked up women in the hotels when he was elsewhere. He was always just by himself in a hotel room, had never had any reports of him cheating on his wife or anything like that. He was just a normal dude that wanted to watch Iron Man 2 and go to sleep. So there was zero evidence of anybody else wanting to terminate his life, which is an issue. So they start investigating the neighbors of Greg on that night in each of the hotel rooms to either side and below. And it was actually a group of electricians, like I said before, that was staying in the hotel. They all worked for an oil company, and they were, putting up some new electrical lines at one of the local oil refineries, and they all liked to hang out at the hotel bar together. Sometimes they hung out and drank in each other's rooms. There wasn't a lot to do there, so they just drank when they were off the job together, and in one of the one of the rooms next door to Greg, there was video from the third floor of this hotel that showed 3 men going into that room that night, and the room was registered to a man named Lance Muller and another man named Tim Steinmetz. I'm sorry, that's hard to say.
Thank you.
And then one of their friends, who was also an electrician for the same company, was in there with them, and his name was Trent Pisano. And anyway, eventually, they talked to these guys. They didn't hear anything. Everything seems like just this big fucking mystery. And eventually, Greg's family, so the wife and the brother, are look, the local police have been doing a lot, but we need a fresh pair of eyes on this. We appreciate all that they've done, but look, we need other things. We've got to figure this out. So they hire a really well-known private investigator. The private investigator comes in, and the reason they're able to bring in a private investigator is that they file a civil suit against the hotel and the people on either side of him, just to have a reason to be able to bring in a private investigator.
Okay. They weren't actually looking for something.
Huh?
They weren't actually looking for a judgment out of that.
No,
is what you're saying.
And eventually they do end up figuring out what happened, and they dropped that civil suit, but the civil suit allowed them to bring in.
Well, is there some kind of regulation where you have to have a lawsuit going to hire a private investigator?
I don't think so, but that's sort of what it indicated with the articles that I read, and several articles just noted that they were bringing suit against the hotel so they could bring in the
whole
private
point of a
investigator.
private investigator is that you just pay them to do something for you.
Yeah, I thought so too. So I don't really really know the legalities of any of that, but the point is,
Weird.
the PI shows up, and the PI gets in good with the police officers that were already investigating. They seem to have a really good rapport with each other, and he brought them through some ideas that they possibly had not considered. And eventually, they go back and physically check the hotel room again. They go over this entire thing inch by inch. They interviewed all of the co-workers of the electricians, and they hit on the fact that someone said that they heard a gun discharge that night. And eventually they're like, okay, we're looking for a bullet hole. And so they go back to that hotel room, and sure enough, they find an indentation in the wall that had been filled up with toothpaste. Someone had patched the hole over. You know how a lot of those cheap hotel rooms have that sort of stucco-y kind of wall texture?
Yeah.
Someone had just filled it, packed it full of toothpaste, and it had dried. You know how toothpaste
And
dries
that'll
out like
blend
that?
in. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just sort of looked like wall spackle, and no one noticed that it was a small caliber bullet hole. So they unpacked that, they got all of it, and sure enough, they showed the laser. They went to the other side and made sure that there was also a hole on the other side. So it was, in fact, a bullet hole. And they took a laser from the other side, and basically it showed that the bullet would have passed straight through where he was laying on the bed.
Yeah.
And anyway, they go back to the medical examiner, and they re-examine all of the photos of the body and stuff like that. And it turns out he had been shot in the scrotum.
Yeah.
And the bullet had basically bounced around inside of his body and fucked everything up.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the way scrotum skin is sort of stretchy and it like folds over on itself, it had shown like a little cut, but it had obscured the rest of the wound because of the type of skin it is. And so they didn't realize that mark on the scrotum was a bullet hole because of the type of skin and how it reacts to something like that. So yeah, eventually they figure out, this dude's been shot in the balls by
Leah,
accident.
Don't make me laugh at this.
I'm
Jesus
sorry,
Christ.
but I mean that is legitimately what happened. He was shot through the scrotum.
Yeah. And up
just
into.
Can you imagine, like, you're sitting there on your bed having a snack, drinking a root beer, watching Iron Man 2, and all of a sudden, like, the most intense pain hits you in the ball sack. You get up, walk 2 steps, trying to get out the door, trying to figure out what's going on with you with your cigarette in your hand, and you fall down dead because of how seriously fucked up it.
My legs just turned to jelly. Yeah.
Yeah, it ruined the interior of his body.
I thought you were about to say it ruined his night. It's like, Leah, it really fucking did.
No, I meant like it really fucked up all of the interior organs.
He got up and he was like, well, who needed this? This is just a travesty. I was having me a great Reese's snack and a root beer.
Yeah. And eventually, like, the medical examiner initially was like, no, there's no way this is a bullet hole. It's consistent with a beating or something like that. But they went over it, and eventually they found the hole that came out the aorta that proved that it was a bullet hole. So they had it changed to, a shooting, basically, was the cause of death. And it had almost been a year since he had died when they figured out all of this and what happened. So the electricians had returned to Wisconsin because that's where they were from. And so they thought that everything was in the clear. But eventually they figured out who was probably involved with it, and so they basically fly them down to Texas again to be interviewed, and the story comes out is that, they had all been drinking in Lance Muller's room, and they sent their friend Trent down to the car to get another bottle of whiskey, and Lance asked him to grab his pistol while he was down there. So he returned with the pistol and the bottle of whiskey, and Lance took the gun from him and just pointed it at him, trying to be funny, and then he pointed it at the other guy trying to be funny, and they were both hit the floor, freaked out, don't fucking, because they were all drunk.
No, that's funny.
Anyway, no, it wasn't funny. The gun was not on safety, and it discharged, narrowly hitting, Trent, and it hit the wall. And they freaked out. They decided, we don't need anybody to know about this.
Narrowly missing Trent.
Yes.
Okay. He said narrowly hitting.
Oh, yeah. It almost hit him, but it didn't.
There you go. Okay.
So Lance wraps the gun up, takes it out to the car, and the friend Trent gets out of there. He just pieces the fuck out. And they all go back down to the bar to pretend like they were never up there, basically. And the next morning, they see this man being wheeled away on a gurney. And they all kind of realize that, oopsie daisy, we accidentally killed someone. And yeah,
okay.
And they all had basically admitted to the police, we knew that we had discharged this weapon and we didn't check on anybody. We didn't ask if anybody was okay. We just tried to not be suspicious, I guess. So anyway, they basically they got the Tim guy to admit to everything that had happened. And after he had given his confession, they had him call the Lance, the guy whose gun it was, and the guy that had the gun. They basically had him call and rat himself out, on a recorded line. And anyway, eventually this gets brought to trial, and Lance Muller ends up pleading no contest to a manslaughter charge, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. And basically the judge told him, look, you wouldn't be sentenced this hard if you had just fessed up when the gun went off in the first place. The fact that you made this series of really shitty decisions and, didn't take responsibility for the problem when it happened is causing you to sit, in jail for 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like I said, Susie did file that civil suit against the hotel, but she eventually dropped her case after they were sentenced criminally. So, yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ, Leah.
Yeah. So most of that information came from a Vanity Fair article, which is really good and really long. It's like a 24 page long article, but it's really intense. It's very interesting. It reads like a crime novella. I would very much recommend it if you're interested in the story. And then Rancor is just because I had never heard of that story before, and I found it on there, and I think that's fun. So those are my sources for that. And that was the mysterious got shot in the balls case.
Well, that's really upsetting, Leah. Yeah. And I do want to say that I was in a band called Narrowly Missing Trent as well.
That I could see as an actual band name, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Narrowly Missing Trent is a good band name.
Really good band name. And it's just a shame it's already been used. So, sorry, anyone out there who's trying to start a band. I've tried to hit it big a few times. Hasn't worked.
Nope. I wonder why.
I think it's the band names. They're never any good. They sound good at the time.
So it has absolutely nothing to do with your dulcet tones and your excellent musical skills.
Correct. I'm a fantastic singer. I think I should stop trying to front the band.
Yeah.
Maybe I should be more of a background player.
Yeah.
Learn how to play keyboards or something.
Yeah.
No, that can't be it.
No.
I'll just be in charge of naming the band and be the agent.
Manager.
Yeah, the agent and manager.
Yeah.
Just got a degree in management of technology. Yeah, I'll take care of it, guys.
Yeah, he can manage your band. Hit us up.
It's nothing to do with talent management. What do you pay a band? It's y'all good with splitting $100 or is that what we're gonna do? Sounds good to me. All right, guys.
I know people that are in bands, and you're lucky if you get $100.
Yeah, I'll take 10%. Take my $10 and get out of there.
Oh man. Anyway, so yeah, that was the mysterious death.
That was upsetting.
Of Greg Flanagan.
I didn't like that at all. So they never found a bullet?
The bullet was in his heart.
Okay, they did find the bullet. Mm-hmm. Okay, in that aorta thing.
Yeah, it was an aortic rupture, and it was in his body.
Because I know that's what small caliber bullets do. They don't generally exit as well.
And it had also been slowed down by the wall.
Yeah.
So it had already started to spread out by the time it got to his testicles.
Oh, God.
And it just,
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah. And that just makes me even more scared of hotels. I'm already not a fan of hotels. Just because, hotels. Everybody's a little skeeved out by hotels. Am I right?
No,
No.
not generally. But I will say this: a hotel's never as good as you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like I get that. I understand that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So like, but no, I'm not like skeeved by them unless they're real gross. Yeah.
I get that, but like if you really stop to think about it, hotels are gross. They just are. All of them are.
I understand.
Gross. It's just gross. And like I can get over that grossness most of the time, but now there's grossness combined with the fact that I don't know if anybody has a pistol in their room and are drunkenly waving it around. So what if like my left tit gets shot off the next time we go to a hotel,
As long as it doesn't bounce around in there and kill you, I think we'll be all right.
I mean, and I know this is a freak accident and it happened once, but it's still like now that I know about it happening, I have an anxiety about it. So
you do. I have testicles, Leah, and a scrotum.
Yes.
They're not just dangling free.
He's got the whole package, guys. It's all in one.
It's all there if anyone had any doubts. I don't understand where we've gone, how we've gotten here. But
yeah, anyway, I'm just saying now I'm scared of hotels. That's all I'm at.
Yeah.
Like ghost hotels, demon hotels, great. Sign me up. Shot through the testicles in a hotel? No, absolutely not. No thanks.
Yeah, I'm fine with imaginary beings being there, but don't bring a gun and shoot me in the balls, please. That's all that I want out of my hotel stay.
Yeah.
All right.
Please don't shoot me in the testicles. That's all I'm asking.
All right, well, I guess it's bedtime. I guess it's break time. I'm used to talking to the dogs. It's bedtime. And Steve was just splaying out his foot to clean it. So we're going to take a little break and charge the camera.
Yeah.
And then we will be back very shortly.
Yes, we will.
We'll see y'all then. Welcome back, everyone. We're trying to wrangle the cat. Before we get started, Steve, lay down.
Nope.
Lay down. There you go. Good job, bud. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
good boy.
All right, Leah, what are we doing now? What's story 2?
Okay, we're going to the great state of Kentucky, and we are going to be talking about someone that I bet you don't know much about.
Is it about genital mutilation?
It is not.
Leah.
Not genital mutilation, but this dude.
Oh.
Anyway,
How
we're going to
exciting.
the great state of Kentucky. We're going to be talking about Cassius Clay.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Muhammad Ali, Leah.
It's not Muhammad Ali, actually. It's who he's named after.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
All right.
I really thought that you were just like being funny, and it's just him. But okay,
No.
I didn't know that.
No, actually, so Cassius Clay is, Muhammad Ali. Quite famously, that's his name previous to joining
His birth name.
the nation. Yeah, his birth name.
There you go.
He called it his slave name.
Yes.
But when he joined the Nation of Islam, he decided to reject that name, took on Muhammad Ali as his actual legal name, and never went back to the Cassius Clay moniker. But the reason he was named Cassius Clay in the first place, I can totally see why he wanted to not use that name. But Cassius Clay is a really interesting figure. He was an abolitionist and a Kentucky politician. He was Lincoln's ambassador to Russia, weirdly. I don't know.
Okay.
This guy is wild. And I'm not going to give an overarching narrative of his life because I was a little sick when I wrote this, and I was just pulling bits and clips and pieces from a bunch of different articles because this guy is incredibly long-lived, absurd, has been stabbed so many times I can't even tell you. And like I said, I'm just going to take bits and pieces of it. But excuse me.
Oh, here we go.
But the reason Muhammad Ali is named after him was that, sorry, going back to it. So his father, Herman Heaton Clay, was actually descended from the enslaved Africans, the slaves that were held.
Muhammad Ali's father.
Yeah, Muhammad
Okay.
Ali's father was a descendant of the slaves that were freed by Henry Clay on his plantation when he inherited it. And anyway, so he was named after Cassius Clay, the political figure, because he was a champion of abolition at the time. But obviously not, I don't know, being named after your enslaver, regardless of when they gave your family freedom or not, is not great. I also would have been a little bit iffy about it. So that's why he got rid of that name specifically when he became involved in the Nation of Islam and whatnot. So, and his, I think there was there was a quote from Muhammad Ali about that, and the quote is and it's from his autobiography. It says, while he may have gotten rid of his slaves, he, quote, held on to the white supremacy. Why should I keep my white slave master's name visible and my black ancestors invisible, unknown, and unhonored? So that's sort of why he specifically chose to change his name. But we are going to talk a little bit about Cassius Clay, because like I said, while he was not like modern times a great upstanding like freedom fighter wanting everybody to be equal kind of person, in the time period he was absolutely a revolutionary abolitionist, and he actually was one of the prime people that pressured Abraham Lincoln to emancipate the slaves when he did. So he's very important in history. A lot of people don't know much about him, but like I said, once again, a mixed bag, historically speaking, ethically speaking, but someone I think we should talk about because, like I said, wild exploits don't even come close to saying it. So I think that's why we're going to talk about him. Okay, exciting. Let's do this. Yeah. So, where did I go from there? There we go. Okay. So, Cassius Marcellus Clay was born to Sally Lewis and Green Clay. And they were some of the wealthiest planters and, in turn, slave owners in Kentucky. He became a really prominent politician. He was one of 6 children, and all of his family were very rich and influential in politics all over the South. His brother Brutus was a politician at the state and federal level. 2 of his cousins, so Henry Clay was his cousin, who was a Kentucky politician. His cousin Clement Clay was a governor of Alabama. So like I said, they're very well connected politically all over the South. So their family is very prominent. But eventually, Clay ends up attending Transylvania University, where he studied law, and then he went on to graduate again with a degree in law from Yale in 1832. And when he was at Yale, he heard the abolitionist William Lloyd Garrison speak. And during this lecture, it kind of clicked for him that slavery is bad.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. And from that moment, he started following Garrison, and he basically said that was the inspiration for his becoming an abolitionist. And he, decided to start doing everything he could politically to further move the United States away from being slave owning territories into, complete emancipation for all peoples. The only difference between the way William Lloyd Garrison sort of practiced abolition and the way he saw abolition was that he wanted to do it incrementally and through the legal system and from the inside, as opposed to literally just, everybody needs to be free right now, regardless of what it costs anybody, which is the way, Garrison really spoke of abolition. But anyway, a little bit more about just some of the weird shit that happened in his life, because once again, this guy is wild. Mm-hmm. So he was once again very prominent for being an abolitionist, and the anti-abolitionist movements, all of the slave owners and just general racist folk throughout the area sent him death threats on a regular basis, and multiple attempts were made on his life throughout his life. But the one we're talking about right now is in 1843. He had been widely speaking and crusading about abolition, and one of his political opponents, a man named Sam Brown, one of his political opponents hired a man named Sam Brown to assassinate him very publicly at a debate. And the guy, Sam Brown, thought that, this would be easy to do because he had a gun and he literally fired it directly into Clay's chest. Clay took the bullet, and the Sam Brown guy thought he was dead, but he was not, because it just pissed him off. The bullet did nothing except it lodged in his chest for sure, but it pissed him off more than anything. So he grabs out his Bowie knife, and he sort of brawls his way through all of the crowd that hates his guts because he's an abolitionist. And when he makes it to Sam Brown, who fired the gun at him, he wasn't just going to stab this guy. He was going to make it extra. So instead of just stabbing the guy that shot him, he cuts off his nose, then he cuts off his ear. He gouges out his eye. And to top it off, and once again, still has a bullet in his chest at this point, he picks the guy up and tosses him over a retaining wall and down an embankment because fuck that guy, right?
When he cut his nose off, did he hold it up to his face and go, "This is to spite your face"?
I would have said, "Got your nose."
Leah, God damn it. Okay, that's better. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
funny.
get what you were going for, but I would have gone with just the straight up "got your nose."
It's very funny. Leah. But he puts it in between his two fingers, and he's and he's showing his thumb at the same time that he's got the nose, and he's like, "This is really your nose, you motherfucker."
Anyway, so shot in the dark.
Oh shit. Okay. Wait, not working for some reason. There we go.
So shot in the dark. Clay's retaliation saw him legally charged for his actions, even though he was shot.
Weird.
He was legally charged for the rampage. What was he charged with? Was it A, assault, B, manslaughter, or C, mayhem?
Just because it's back then and you don't hear that now, I'm going to say mayhem.
You're correct. He was charged with mayhem.
Obviously, mayhem. Don't go cutting off people's noses.
They shot him first. They literally tried to assassinate him at a public debate. And the guy was like, fuck you.
Leah, I'm not saying that I wouldn't have done the same. I'm saying it's not advisable.
Yeah.
He should have cut off the guy's testicles.
Man, no, he just got the nose and the ear and the eye.
I am not looking forward to this. I was just thinking that I'm going to have a protein shake after this because I'm kind of hungry, but I don't want to eat, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I can take a protein shake after this next shot, Leah. I don't think I can do it.
You could put the shot in the protein shake.
Oh, no, I could not.
A little boozy protein for your afternoon delight, you know?
Mm-mm. It's not afternoon delight. You know what that means?
I was going to say, I used the wrong phrase. I apologize.
Son of a bitch.
Sorry about that. Anyway, so, while you contemplate that, gross, we're going to talk about another time that he got stabbed. Because this is a running theme in this man's life, is he gets stabbed and shot a lot. But, there you go.
Holy God. Oh, the whiskey, Leah.
You okay?
No.
Okay.
I need Taco Bell. I can't have a protein shake.
Okay, I'll get you Taco. You want Taco Bell for dinner?
Yeah, go get it.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Stay here.
Let's get through this, and then I'll go to Taco Bell for you. Okay, deal.
I need it.
Okay.
I'm so miserable.
Okay, deal. All right, so
holy fuck, that's awful. Oh.
So, obviously, many attempts have been made on this guy's life at this point, but he continues with his political endeavors, and he's talking about and debating anti-abolitionists wherever he can, and he has a lot of close calls, but this one was pretty bad. So, Clay had just finished this anti-slavery speech, and after the speech, he was approached by a few brothers, and they were sons of a local slave-owning, pro-slave politician. And the brother that was sort of in charge of everything's name was Cyrus Turner. And they come up to just basically tell the guy he ain't shit and, whatever. But whatever, they got pissed off at him, and they grabbed his Bowie knife from him, the one that he had, cut the other dude's nose off with. Anyway, they overpowered him and grabbed his knife from him, and they stabbed him with it a few times, thinking that, being stabbed with a Bowie knife a few times is going to take him down. But oh no, not Cassius Clay. This guy is like, fuck you guys. He got his knife back from them, chased a bunch of their brothers off, but apparently Cyrus was the slow hippo at the end of this stampede, because he got caught, and Clay angrily, starts knifing him back, I suppose. Yeah, look, you stab Cassius Clay, he gonna stab you back. So he chases this Cyrus down and fatally stabs him. And he passes out from blood loss right after he stabs Cyrus Turner to death. But eventually. Speaking of, during the brawl in the first place where they took his knife away from him, they tried to shoot him with a pistol a few times, but the pistol was stuck and it wouldn't fire, so that allowed him to get that knife back from him and chase him down and stab him back.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. But anyway, someone found Cassius Clay passed out from blood loss, and they took him to a surgeon and got him all patched up, and he was fine. After being stabbed multiple times with his own
blood
knife.
into him?
Huh?
They would have had to put blood into him.
Not necessarily.
Right? No. Yeah, no. But, you'll eventually make more blood, but he would have had to recover for a while.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. So, but he didn't die, and I think that's the point. So he also ends up starting an anti-slavery newspaper, which is a very bold move in slave-owning Kentucky at the time.
It'll be a bold move in Kentucky right now.
Yeah, also true.
Leah, it's 2022.
Yeah. So he was born, like I said, into a very wealthy slave-owning plantation-having family. The plantation was called Whitehall, and it's on the National Historic Registry of Places now. It's a big deal in Kentucky. And he eventually ended up inheriting all of the slaves and the property and stuff like that. But after he started, during his time at Yale, he realized, oh man, slavery's not a good thing. And he starts this political activism. He founds this newspaper, and eventually he realizes, man, it's a real son of a bitch to be talking about anti-slavery stuff and still technically owning a ton of slaves. So about 20 years before actual emancipation happens through the Civil War, he frees all of the slaves at the family plantation at Whitehall, and he gives them, frees them all, and he offers them, an opportunity to continue to work there should they choose to, for wages, which some of them did and some of them did not. But, he did free all of the slaves that his family had held for quite some time. And it was estimated that the financial loss was around $40,000 in that time period money, which
That's a lot of money.
Fucking astronomical.
Hey,
but
okay, good. I'm just saying.
But yeah, I was going to say,
get the fuck over it.
It's the money that you gained at the hands of enslaving people.
That's not losing money. That's properly paying your workers.
Precisely. Yeah.
That's anyway. Hey, speaking of, we just got our calendars at work. The state of Alabama is not celebrating Juneteenth. Shocker. Fucking shocking Pikachu face. We got it last year because it was announced the day before.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, everybody take off. And then the calendar came out, and we don't have that holiday this year.
But we sure as hell got Confederate Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah, that's still there. But in December, there is a Rosa Parks Memorial Day. It is not a holiday.
I was like, but you don't get to take off for it.
It is not a holiday, but it's denoted on the calendar now to go, hey, remember Rosa Parks in December?
Yeah,
and then everybody goes, anyway, here's $30,000 to continue working for us per year. Not that day. Sorry, I didn't mean that. No. But here's, anyway, you don't get anything at all.
Yeah.
Including Juneteenth. So go fuck yourself. Remember Rosa Parks? All right, we'll see you next year.
Yeah, thanks, State of Alabama.
That's it.
But thankfully, I don't work for them anymore.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. And my current employer does get Juneteenth off.
Yeah,
So
as of right now, I still do. So
yeah,
we'll
sorry
see.
about that.
We'll see. I just wanted everyone to be aware that we got Juneteenth last year because it was literally 8 hours before the workday started, and the state went, okay, just take it. And then this year they went, never mind.
We'll keep Robert E. Lee's birthday.
Yeah, we
but
got
you
that.
sure as fuck can't have Juneteenth off.
Uh-huh.
God damn it. Oh man, I hate people. Anyway, sorry.
It's like they had time to think about it and went, that's childish. Why would we do that?
Yeah.
And then everybody, all the employees are going, you know how many black people you got working for you?
Seriously,
I mean, go fuck yourself.
100% go fuck yourself.
Ugh.
Like where I was working previously, I'd say about 75 or 80% of the workforce was African American, and like, what a fucking slap in the face, man.
Yeah,
you get off
real.
for and they don't even on the register, like, it's Martin Luther King Day / Robert E. Lee's birthday.
Yep.
It's not even just Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We don't get to celebrate MLK Day. It's MLK Day / the motherfucker Robert E. Lee. All right, I'm sorry. I'm not mad about it, but I'm mad about it.
I didn't mean to start a whole thing. I just wanted to say,
Look, I get heated every time I think about it, and it has been an ongoing, like, frustration of mine, especially when talking to some of the older white members of my family about, well, you had relatives that died in that war too, and you should remember.
Yeah.
No fucks given, brah. No.
and I'm sure they were
fucks.
absolute pieces of shit.
Yeah, I
Go
was
fuck
gonna say,
them.
look, we have a regular Memorial Day to celebrate everybody. We don't need one specifically for those bastards, but whatever. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Heated, upset. Sorry.
Heated.
Let's go
Leah
back to Cassius Clay.
Is heated.
Anyway, so Cassius Clay starts up this, anti-slavery newspaper. It is called The True American, and he basically is incredibly provocative, putting out all sorts of articles about how, if you have slaves, you should fucking free them, you sons of bitches.
That was a sensationalist headline.
Yeah.
Leah.
It was a lot. And because of that, his newspaper was under constant threat. When he first started publishing this newspaper, people were sending death threats to the office all the fucking time. One of the letters that he receives that is, still extant, they still have the letter, but the letter that they received to the office said, quote, "You are meaner than the autocrats of hell. The hemp is ready for your neck. Your life cannot be spared. Plenty thirst for your blood." And the entire letter was written in blood. So that's how these people feel about this man.
Yeah.
Not a fan of him. So much so not a fan of him that he had a very ridiculous security system set up at his newspaper office. So he was doing everything he could to make sure that he could protect the people that were writing for him. He installed sheet iron on the street door. So it was like bulletproof door. He outfitted the office with a brace of pistols and a brace of rifles. He had a very elaborate evacuation plan for the employees who could, while he was, pistols blazing at the front door trying to get rid of whoever was trying to hurt anybody, they had a hatch in the roof that they could escape out onto the roof. And he had incendiary devices that he could light and destroy the entire building after everybody, escaped. And also, just for the gusto, which makes me happy, he had 2 large brass cannons placed at the top of the staircase pointing down towards the front door so he could handle a mob if a mob shows up. And each of the cannons was packed full of old nails and musket balls to really get a scatter on the mob that would show up at the
Jesus
office.
Christ.
Yeah.
I was in another band called Just for the Gusto as well.
And his
We were
offices,
pretty good though.
yeah.
That band was close.
Yeah.
We almost made it.
The offices were attacked a few times, but he never had to, deploy the elaborate cannon system to keep his employees safe. But, it was available if it was necessary. And on top of all of that weirdness, he was a very well-known dueler, because why the fuck not? This guy got into so many fights, might as well be really good with a pistol, right? He was said to have slain more men in duels than anyone else in America, which means he shot a bunch of motherfuckers. He, got into brawls like any other dude, but he would threaten or like actually duel anybody for just about anything. And he had a really serious reputation as a duelist. So in 1833, while he was studying law at Transylvania University in Lexington, he started to court a young woman named Mary Jane Warfield. And while they were, courting, I suppose, a former boyfriend of Mary Jane shows up. His name was Dr. John de Clary. And Dr. John sent his ex-girlfriend a letter saying why Cassius Clay is just this spurious scoundrel. And Clay got his hands on the letter and was like, oh, you're gonna talk bad about me to my girlfriend? Like, what the fuck? So he finds de Clary, beats him with his hickory walking stick, and basically just like fucks him up a little bit, or a lot of it, as the case may be. And so de Clary gets pissed off at this and challenges Cassius Clay to a duel. And he thinks that Cassius Clay is not going to take up the offer of a duel because he's dumb. But he does, in fact, say, yeah, fucking name the time and place, and I will 100% fuck you up on that day. And so, in order to get around actually dueling Cassius Clay...
Can I guess what happens?
Go ahead.
They show up, and Cassius Clay goes, "Number one!" And they start singing the whole thing from Hamilton?
No, that doesn't happen.
Shit.
So Dr. John schedules the duel
upsetting.
for the date of Cassius Clay's wedding to Mary Jane Warfield, so he can't fucking show up.
Yeah.
So
you could go get a duel done and go to your wedding. Stop being an asshole.
no, it was in a different city, so
Okay.
he was gone. But so obviously Cassius Clay goes to his wedding and not the duel, and he was unable to attend. So Dr. John, unable to shut the absolute fuck up, decides, I'm going to brag about Cassius Clay not showing up to this duel. He fled in cowardice. He's a bullshit, all of this stuff.
He's a bullshit.
He's a bullshit.
God, can we name the episode that?
No.
I'm going to put it down.
So Cassius Clay, being the, brash man that he is, decides a few days after his wedding was over, he returns to Lexington and he's gonna fuck Dr. John up. He goes to his hotel room and challenges him to another duel. Says, in the morning, I'll fucking be there because I'm already married. Let's do this.
At dawn, right? That's when you're supposed to have duels.
Yes.
Hamilton taught me that.
So he goes to the dueling ground the next morning, and Dr. John does not show up, and he does not show up, and he does not show up. And eventually he is informed that Dr. John was so intimidated and upset about having to face this man in a duel that he cut his wrists and bled out. So he committed suicide instead of having to meet this man in a duel.
What a pussy.
Yeah.
I've been playing the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I've played Mass Effect before, but new graphics, new gameplay, it's fun. And it sounds like Cassius Clay had his intimidate skill way the fuck up.
Yeah.
He got that red dialogue option.
He shot a lot of fuckers. He did. And over stupid shit too. Like,
now look, Leah, I've already told you this many times, including on this very show. But if people are going to talk shit about you, I'm not going to give a shit. I'm not going to duel someone.
You're not going to duel and to
you
defend my honor.
You just have your feelings hurt, and I'll be like, okay, you'll be fine. Give it a few days. You'll get over it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go kill someone or have them kill me because you go, my feelings are hurt.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank
sorry.
you.
It's just not going to happen, Leah. Also, it's 2022. We handle our problems on Facebook. God
I was going to say with a therapist and Ben and Jerry's, but whatever. Fine.
No.
You.
You're being ridiculous. We have to make really vague posts about people on Facebook. Do you know there's someone... You wouldn't know this. There's someone on my friends list that's friends with or that was in the grade of one of my friends, 2 years ahead of me. This lady's 35, and she posts stuff on Facebook all the time that is like she's in middle school, talking about like people's parents of these other adult women about the problems she had with them in middle school. And it's so much fun to read. I talk to him about it all the time. I'm talking about Kevin. You know Kevin.
Yes, I know Kevin.
And Kevin goes, I don't get on Facebook. I don't care. And I like send him screenshots. I'm like, look at this. And he's like, okay.
That's because you love drama, Mitchell.
It's not drama, though. It's one person being a child, and she's older than me. It's really fun. I enjoy it.
See, stuff like that just makes me uncomfortable. And like, I can't with that most of the time.
Hey.
Like, if it's really petty and really silly, we can talk about it. But if, like, people get really emotional about something, I'm like, okay, out of it. No.
But it's not. She's not emotional. It's really petty and really silly. She's talking about something that happened to her in 8th grade, and she's 35.
Yeah.
Okay. Grow up. Let's move on.
Yeah.
No, we can't do that.
Some people aren't good at moving on, but it's fun. What are you going to do?
Hey, I don't blame them.
Anyway, so another story. Cassius Clay gets pretty old at the age of 89.
I apologize. I didn't know we were still going.
Yeah, we are.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That was a really awful segue.
Yes,
Continue.
it was. So later in his life, he gets involved with a man named Riley Brock. So Riley Brock ends up married to Clay's ex-wife, Dora. So they had gotten divorced, which was kind of radical at the time. But anyway, but you know, Cassius Clay is still like respects Dora, and he suspects that there was domestic abuse going on, and that his ex-wife was being abused by this Riley Brock character. So their relationship was not great. He was very irritated that the man was treating his ex-wife poorly, and he believed that both Dora and himself were in danger of, you know, being killed or robbed or something like that. And in one of the letters that still exists, he writes to one of his friends that he suspects that Riley Brock is planning to rob, you know, Whitehall, the plantation home. And it turns out that he was, in fact, intending to do just that. So in 1899, Brock and a couple of other dudes break into Whitehall, intending to rob the place blind and probably kill and or beat up Cassius Clay, who is once again 89 at this point.
They should be able to take him at this point.
You think?
Come on,
You
now.
think at 89 he's going to be fine, but nope. Not a lot exists to know exactly what happened, but when the police show up after they're called in several hours after the initial break-in happens, one of the burglars is dead of a gunshot wound. The other one had been fatally knifed to death. And Riley Brock himself had run away for his life. And Cassius Clay was alive and well, just hanging out, waiting for the police to show up and remove the offending people. So yeah, this guy at the age of 89 fights off 3 much younger assailants. Like he does. Fucking weird, man. Yeah, so this guy has been stabbed and shot and just altogether fucked over many times, and he's still don't fuck with this guy. But yeah, just a little bit more before I wrap it up. So like I said, he's one of the people that actually helped get Abraham Lincoln elected. He was really interested in being president himself, I think, but because of his anti-abolitionist political stance, he didn't get very far in he was pretty popular in some areas, and he was close to being the vice president for Lincoln, but you know, that didn't end up working out for him.
He couldn't intimidate Lincoln into letting him be vice president?
Well, he wanted to become the Secretary of War, but the advisors that Lincoln had around him basically said, if you appoint Cassius Clay as your Secretary of War, he's going to immediately declare war against the entire South before anything happens. Like,
and Lincoln
the Civil
was like,
War
no, we'll give it a couple years.
I would say the Civil War would have started much earlier if they had elected Cassius Clay as the Secretary of War. And so they decided not to do that. And eventually he ends up being, elected and appointed as the ambassador to Russia. But during the Civil War, he comes back from Russia. He is a general for a little while. He sets up like a brigade of volunteers to protect the White House. But his main thing is that after he helped get Lincoln put in as president, he put as much pressure on him politically as he possibly could to, vocally become a proponent of emancipation. And he basically would not let him rest until he declared that he would, in fact, issue the Emancipation Proclamation. So a lot of that and the timing of that is put to the fact that he wouldn't leave Lincoln the fuck alone about it, which is great. I think, he definitely has a part to play in the emancipation of
Sounds like a hero to me, Leah.
Like I said, I wouldn't go hero on this because he seems a little fucked up. And like I said, he did own slaves of his own. Some of the reasoning he was anti-slavery is a little iffy. But like I said, he's a mixed bag, and I find him to be a very interesting character in history.
He's chaotic good.
Yeah,
Leah.
I think that would be a good way to put it.
We're going to take it back
good.
to Mass Effect. Most of his dialogue with people and his actions are bordering on evil.
Yeah.
But overall, he's doing the right thing.
He's right? doing the right thing, not always for the right reasons.
He's doing a renegade playthrough, Leah.
Yeah.
He's not a paragon by any means.
And also something that I found really interesting, if you know anything about Berea College, he's the one who founded it.
I don't.
Okay, so Berea is it's the first college in the South that allowed all genders and races to be part of it. And
nice?
So he founded Berea College. It's a small university. It's still there, still educating folks. I will say it was segregated at first. It's no longer segregated, but when it was founded...
Oh, thank God. I'm so glad it's no longer segregated, Leah.
Like I said, the fact that, like I said, they let anybody in, man, woman, black, white, anybody could go. But it was also the education was provided tuition free, and it is still tuition free. You do have to qualify as being, unable to afford tuition other places. Like there is like an income based thing when it comes to getting in there, but it is still a tuition free university I think it's just a college, but anyway, it is a tuition free institution that is still very widely regarded today. And like I said, it's no longer segregated. It's still a really well-respected, free university, and it still has the motto that they founded it with. And the motto is, God has made of one blood all peoples of the earth. So yeah, I think that's a neat thing. And like I said, it's still a college today, which is cool. Even though he was... attempts were made on his life many times. He was stabbed and shot so many times. He ended up living to the age of 92. And he passed of natural causes of just being 92. And he died on July the 22nd of 1903. So yeah, that's Cassius Clay, the older one. Not the Muhammad Ali.
Thank you. I really did need the clarification because,
Yeah, because I mean, when you hear the name Cassius Clay, it's automatically that's Muhammad
Nobody thinks
Ali.
about this guy.
No, nobody thinks about this guy. But once again, was like kind of, like I said, not a direct descendant, but he is a descendant of people that were enslaved by his family. So
I have the goal of Muhammad Ali, which is to take the name that I was given and make it more famous than my predecessor, like you did with Cassius Clay. Because do you know who my predecessor was?
Who's that?
With the only famous Mitch Lawrence there ever was. First of all, Lawrence was spelled with a U, not a W, and he was okay. It's going to be weird to say it this way, but he was the husband of a very famous pool player.
okay,
He was the husband of a lady named Eva Lawrence,
Okay.
who was an incredible ladies billiards player. She was an incredible billiards player, but
She played in the
for
ladies
some reason
circuit.
they segregate pool playing. It's ridiculous. But anyway, he was also a pool player and a commentator on billiards matches. And I just remember that from being
You just
a child.
want to be more famous
like,
than
"Oh,
that guy?
Same name, except you have a U because you're a fucking weirdo. Yeah, I'm going to get on the Masked Singer and I'm going to overtake Mitch Lawrence, the billiard commentator.
Okay.
Or maybe I'll just start commentating billiards.
Yeah,
Why don't I do that?
I don't know about Leah Lawrence's, but Leah Crafts, there's like an oboe player in like one of the orchestras in Hawaii, maybe. That's about it. There's not a lot of famous Leah Crafts, so.
Well,
And like I said, I've never
at
really
you.
looked up Leah Lawrence's, so.
I didn't look them up. I just watched shit on ESPN growing up.
But
So?
my background search did come up clean, so obviously none of the rest of the Leah Lawrences have done anything fucked up. So that's
Well,
good.
not with your social security number.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
like it pulls a lot of those background searches also just like Google shit to make sure that name just doesn't pop up a couple mugshots,
Yeah.
And mine doesn't. So
Yeah. Well,
Huzzah.
there you go.
because I've never had a mugshot, but also nobody else named Leah Lawrence seems to have gotten in any trouble. So that's great.
Yet.
Yet
You're going to start embezzling.
No. Don't say shit like that. I
Yeah,
am
you're right. You did
currently
just start.
employed at a financial institution.
You did.
0 out of 10 don't say that shit.
You did just start. Leah has never done anything wrong in her life.
No, I have not.
Like, period. So I don't think...
No,
that
you don't
anyone,
have to worry about me. I am that lawful good. Like my problem is if there is like a sign, I have to follow it. So I'm always the one reading signs, and Mitchell never fucking reads a sign.
It's not on purpose. I just don't see them. Like I have a goal and I'm focused on it
Yeah.
and I'm going somewhere.
I look at every sign and I read every sign. Like even when I go to my therapist's office, there's still signs on the door that says everybody is required to wear a mask. And at the time that I go, that building, there's literally nobody else in that building but me. Even my therapist generally shows up after me. And like I still wear a mask when I'm like the only person in the building. But because there's a mask on the door and in the elevator and on the wall, I wear a mask the whole time.
The only reason she brings that
Have
up...
to. Lawful good.
The only reason she brings that up is because we had a very light snowstorm in our hometown like a week ago. And we wanted to go to Dollar Tree for something. And Leah and I walked up at the exact same time to the building, and I reached for the door, and of course it was locked. And Leah goes, well, the sign says they're closed for the weather, and because they're short-staffed. And I went, what sign? And it was directly in front of my face.
The sign
It
that
was
you could
right
literally
there.
touch. if
Right,
you
I
just-
don't see that shit. I'm going to the door. It's 1:00 in the afternoon. I don't know what's happening.
Also, it's
Right?
the $1.25 tree now, and
It
I
is.
hate it.
It is. If they change the name, though, it doesn't really roll off the tongue.
No.
$1.25 tree. That's more of a bush at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it causes a problem. Anyway, I didn't read the sign, and like I said, I reached for the door, and Leah, of course, didn't say a word and just let me look like a moron to...
I
You
thought
know.
you saw the sign.
I didn't see the
man.
sign. I know it was right there. I didn't see it. It was at eye level and everything.
Oh, so, and after like grabbing it a couple times, you look around confused, and I'm like, dude, read the fucking sign.
Leah goes, the sign says. I go, what sign? I got stopped her mid-sentence.
It boggles my mind that people don't read the signs. That happens literally
It's
everywhere.
not that. It's just that when you walk into the Dollar Tree, there isn't ever a sign, ever. And so
I
you
get it.
don't expect it.
I
you know?
suppose, but like.
I'm sorry. I hit my mic.
I started a new job, and the person that was showing me around the office points out this really fancy coffee maker they have. They have a big fancy coffee maker, and they have a Keurig, and it is a fancy coffee maker that like has a different system anyway. And then she's just like, I don't really know how to use that one, so I just use the Keurig. And I look at it, and there's literally a sign behind it that tells you step by step exactly how to do this. Like you follow it's incredibly simple, makes fabulous coffee, but like nobody uses it because no one reads the goddamn sign.
Yeah. No one uses it because it's complicated.
Like it's not complicated though. You push a button, you put the packet in, you click the thing closed, and it brews your coffee for it. And bonus, it gets rid of the packet for you. It's not like those pods
dumps
in a
it.
Keurig where you have to like put it out because no one ever takes the fucking cups out of the Keurig. pisses me off. But instead of like having that whole thing be an animosity in the office, it gets rid of the little pouches yourself. It doesn't have to, like, it's the best thing ever. And these people aren't using this amazing coffee machine because they don't read the fucking sign.
Oh, Leah.
Just makes me mad. But anyway, beyond that, my sources for that were weirdhistory.com, Wikipedia, and a Mental Floss article. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I rest my case.
You did great.
Thanks.
I'm proud of you.
Sorry.
Leah, I am hammered.
Okay. Well, great.
Those 2 shots were a really bad idea.
Good.
And I got both answers right, so you owe 2 shots.
Okay. We'll do that next time.
No, we're not.
But also, no, we're super not. But I'm hoping that you'll forget it. But while you're hammered, that just means that you won't notice how bad the toast is.
Oh, I'll notice. This is one of those things I hyper-focus on. Don't put up signs about how bad the toast is. I'm just going to focus on you telling it.
Okay. Well, it's bad, so I apologize. But anyway,
Go.
everybody, just let's toast. Anyway, most hotels suffer from very thin walls, so thin they won't stop a bullet to the balls.
Oh, Leah.
Bombastic and stabby was old Cassius Clay, not the best man, but pretty good for his day. Drink.
That wasn't bad, Leah. There was nothing wrong with that.
I mean, it wasn't good,
you didn't
though.
really try, but there
No.
wasn't anything wrong with
But
it.
it was not great.
Let me just...
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Anyway,
Well, I think that we're done.
yes, most definitely.
Because
It's gone
we
on
have
for far
to-
too long.
It's 3:30 Central Time on the dot right now.
Yes.
So we will get this out
Eventually.
soon. Don't say eventually. Makes it sound like Tuesday.
No, it'll be out today. It just
Soon.
might be later today because
Yeah.
you're hammered and
First
you
of
do
all-
have to do the audio.
First of all, I'm going to take a nap. Then I'm going to do the audio. Does that sound
Okay.
all right?
Cool.
Okay. Well, this will come out Sunday evening. How's that
Yes.
sound?
Excellent.
Good work, everyone. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm not going to do any more of the outros because, I mean, we
You
don't
know
do,
at
we
this
don't do
point.
anything on social media anyway.
You know.
Yeah, you know what to do. Patreon, postcards, emails, general commentary. If you want to just say something,
Yeah.
that's fine. Here, our phone numbers are.
Absolutely not. I don't answer the phone for people I know personally.
Yeah, no, send it in a text.
Yeah.
No.
Don't
But
do any of that.
Besides that,
Email. We have
Yep.
an email address.
well, we're not doing any of that anyway. So, thank you so much for listening, everyone. And I got to get to work, so we got to go.
Okay.
We'll
Bye,
see
y'all.
you next time.
Oh, sorry.
Let me do my thing.
Okay, you do it.
We'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Jesus Christ, Leah.
Sam has made an awful noise.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.